Buongiorno.
So, good morning. Good morning, all of you, and welcome to Florence. Welcome to Free Europe. Europa Libera, Free Europe. I want to warmly welcome all of you on behalf of the group Identity and Democracy. The European group with the Northern League, with all its friends, is working. So that's a special time today, special time, because really we are starting a new era, the renewal of Europe. We have chosen Florence as a symbolic place of this Renaissance, of this rebirth, the place where Europe many years ago has born again, making all the beauties you got the chance to see yesterday and are going to see today, and the model thanks to which this group of friends is staring at the future. If we look backwards, this project started many years ago with a lot of difficulties also, with just a few friends, but sincere friends, just focusing on this object. And after many years of work with the European institution, with our parliaments, with our member states, we succeeded in showing some valuable alternatives to an European model which is destroying Europe. This is the very first consideration to make today. Looking at the last 30 years, look at this strange coalition of a little bit of a central right party and left party ruling Europe for 30 years. Now we have to say this has been a failure, this has been a flop, so we need to renew. And also we have to change. And with many friends on the first rows, Matteo, I've seen this path when it's been originated with some troubles. But very often I heard people say we are dead, we had no hopes. Very often I heard people we would be, put aside, totally alone. But looking at the polls in Europe and in our nations, I have to say we are stronger than ever. So we're just approaching the next months, where we did a great job, aware of having some good and also fertile grounds ahead, being aware that we're being the very first one to say that a certain model of Europe wanted by the left party didn't work. So we are coming after the Second World War II. United Europe has been passed over, told as a project of freedom, a project making the European countries so join all together after 2 world wars, a project which was just going against, in a way, to the socialist bloc, to the communist bloc, to dictatorship. So if I consider these last few years in that Europe of freedom we've been hearing of, I didn't see almost nothing. I see Europe imposing, being very bad, controlling anyone. So Europe which is incapable to make people understand the good side of it, and so sort of, a stepmother. So we're just here to propose our recipe to go back to Europe which is free, not made of bureaucrats, but Europe which is made of citizens, free citizens. So Europe made for free citizens. So Europe which is made for our communities, for our small entrepreneurs, for our mayors, also for our people. So free Europe is the main target we want to achieve the next months and years to come, to make the identity grow, identity family grow in all our countries, being centric on the only possible project of Europe, and Europe made up of nations cooperating, faithfully, legally, pursuing its own good targets. I do believe the target before this failure of this European Commission is closer than ever. Now we're going to speak of the themes which are going to be discussed in the next months to come. We're going to tell you the work which has been together in these many years of construction, of joint work, but we're going to share our fusion vision of what we want Europe to be. We named Eurosceptics or distractors, but the point is they are the only ones working the Parliament in order to save Europe, which is not the European centric, centralizing everything, not suffocating, choking our own identities, but that's Europe of freedom, where citizens can choose what they want to eat, where citizens also can choose which kind of car to drive, where citizens can also totally be free to express their ideas without feeling the blame on them, not being ashamed of their heritage roots, being Italians, French, Bulgarians or Germans. And now I want to kick off this day, which is going to be short but quite intense. So we've chosen a very inclusive format. We have a deep political intervention by all friends from European countries, but also people will take the floor, not a politician, but commoners, common people who have to face the madness of Europe all day, not just to criticize, but also to tell our project, our concrete ideas, to make Europe once again the democratic place where our nations and our peoples can feel free to cooperate. Thank you to all of you, and happy Free Europe meeting, and have a nice day ahead. And now we kick off this meeting with the first contribution, the first video. Well, she's one of the most important persons who contributed to this project, a friend to Italy, a reference for all the European patriots. We have seen her just a few months ago in Pontida, on the Pontida's stage with Matteo Salvini. Today she couldn't join us because in France she's fighting for a sort of far-reaching object, being elected the president of the French Republic in 2027. I launched the video of the Rassemblement National, Madame Marine Le Pen.
Mesdames, Messieurs, chers amis, cher Matteo. C'est avec regret que je ne peux être parmi vous aujourd'hui à Florence, dans ce berceau historique, pour partager avec vous l'amitié qui lie nos deux peuples et nos deux mouvements.
You can find the English captions of this message. Thank you.
De la jeune cité romaine jusqu'aux Médicis, en passant par la beauté de la Renaissance, Florence a été à la fois une source d'inspiration pour la France, comme le lieu de naissance
At the birthplace of some East future queens, it constitutes an immense historic, architectural, cultural and university heritage for Italy, France and the whole of Europe. Yes, we love Europe and we fight for Europe against this closed technocratic European Union in Brussels. We face today a European Union that debases our history, that unifies our cultures framework. Mr. von der Leyen reduces Europe to a place of transaction of goods and capital. By her desire for uniformity, by her over-regulation or her deregulation, one crazier than the other, she acts against our peoples and against our freedoms. This technocratic form that has become the European Union does not recognize people as rich heirs of a similar phase, nor as active social and environmental progress, but as commodities, as interchangeable by ruthless and borderless consumers. A two model of people's identity annihilation, whose fuel is called immigration. At the time when the European Union is preparing this passage, the immigration that will take away from each of our countries, we must urgently mobilize in all the countries of Europe. For Mr. von der Leyen, immigration is not a problem, it's a project. If we do nothing, our nation will consider to a migratory or represent a scale in history. If we do nothing, we will let Brussels rule at the expense of our lives, of the peoples of Europe. The challenge of the first century is this one, which is the state for us to return power to the people and to put an end to the persecution, never through the Green Union, put in place by the European Union. We are movements of democratic patriotic resistance to confront the dominant bureaucratic structure. Faced with arbitrary power, the Florentine Niccolo Machiavelli hardly warned us in the 16th century. The best fortress of tyrants is the inertia of the people. So fools spread here, dear friends.
Bene, dopo.
Thank you. After the wishes by Marine Le Pen, and we wish her all the best for the next election in France. Now we go to the courteous day with the first guest, political guest. Identity and patriotic movements are growing everywhere in all European countries and also in Bulgaria, where the Revival Party is getting more consensus by the citizens of this country, Bulgaria, proposing a new recipe, a different recipe vis-a-vis the failures of the last years. A new hopes for those defending Bulgaria and defending the European identity. Video message now.
Bene, con grande piacere e qui Firenze invito a salire sul palco il presidente di Revival Kostadinov. Prego, Kostadinov.
Уважаеми дами и господа, уважаеми съмишленици от идентичност и демокрация.
Dear friends of Identity and Democracy, for me it is an honor to be with you all, representatives of different European organizations which all aim to preserve and develop our common European civilization. It's confounding that our organizations are labeled as Eurosceptic solely because we dare to criticize the leading policies of the European Union. Clearly, distinguishing the European Union from Europe, we do not stop exposing the bitter truth that the European Union is the greatest threat to the future of the European civilization. The party which I'm the leader of in Bulgaria is Revival. Is faced with the very same hurdles which you face. We have common opponents. Those which are against the development of the traditional European civilization. Those which are against strong nations and cultures in Europe. Dear friends, since we have common problems, since we have common enemies, absolutely it's mandatory that we take common actions. Bulgaria's national motto is "Unity makes strength." It is required of us all who are concerned for our common European home to do everything possible to preserve our civilization, our traditions, our Christian faith, our cultures, and our languages, without which Europe would not be European, not the same Europe as it used to be. We have all problems, but they have a very quick and effective solution. Most problems which unite us. However, the greatest issue which we all face is the demographic crisis. There is not one single European country which is not affected by this problem. Those countries which have nominal population growth do so thanks to illegal immigrations. The demographic crisis calls into question the very future of Europe. Because, thanks to the policies of the dominant anti-European elite, the native European population is simultaneously aging and declining, and is gradually being replaced by Africa and Asian strangers. Thanks to illegal immigration, this might be a threat in the future. This might be a clash in our countries, and the limits of this clash can be a danger, a huge danger for our peoples. That's why our peoples deserve new leaders with decision-making powers. The ones so far have shown that they are part of the problem, not the solution. However, our nations have immune systems, and they are the people who are willing to fight for their future. Here we are a few dozen, but behind us there are tens of millions of Europeans. Millions who do not want to be guests in their own homes. For this reason, the future of the European Union will become a question of increasing importance to make Europe survive. The European Union is becoming the biggest threat, and the European Union has to change. As a community of different civilizations and cultures, and not at the federal state. Otherwise, if this not happen, its future has been already decided. And there will be some national referendums to leave Europe. It is time for our nation to become free and sovereign again. It is time for us to write our history again. It is the time for the revival of Europe. Thank you.
Grazie Kostadin.
Thank you, Kostadin. Lots of luck for your battle in Bulgaria. Now we keep going with another contribution, video contribution from another nation, another friend who couldn't join us because this was the end of the socialist government and is fighting in this electoral campaign to take power in Portugal. That's a friend coming from Portugal, the leader of the Shiga party. This is the video clip by Andrea Ventura. Dear friends, especially our Italian friends from Liga, a big hug to you all and a huge greeting from Lisbon. Come sapete,
neste dia. Infelizmente, fruto das circunstâncias, da queda do governo em Portugal, teremos eleições legislativas gerais a muito breve prazo. Mas não queria deixar de passar a mensagem da importância que estas eleições têm e da importância de mostrarmos força, vivacidade e ambição. Pela primeira vez, talvez na nossa história, temos a hipótese de construir maiorias, não só aqui em Portugal, como por toda a Europa, mas sobretudo no Parlamento Europeu. Neste nível do Parlamento Europeu que tanto afeta a nossa vida do dia a dia. Os ventos de mudança varrem toda a Europa. Vimos-lo em Itália, estamos a vê-lo na Áustria, na Bélgica, vimos-lo na Holanda, recentemente, está a acontecer por todo lado. Esperemos que a 10 de março em Portugal possamos também ver essa mudança, mas não podemos esquecer que temos eleições europeias no horizonte. E estas eleições europeias devem nos mobilizar com força, com entusiasmo, com alegria, para mudar o panorama de Bruxelas, para deixarmos de estar dependentes dos burocratas e dos eurocratas de Bruxelas, daqueles que não foram eleitos, mas nos querem dizer como devemos viver, como a nossa economia se deve comportar, como é que a nossa justiça deve funcionar, quantos imigrantes devemos receber. É este espírito com que partimos para a luta. E é neste espírito de unidade, nas nossas diferenças, de Estado para Estado, de nação para nação, devemos ser capazes de construir uma frente unida para vencer estas próximas eleições europeias. Uma saudação especial ao nosso companheiro Matteo Salvini, tem sido uma referência para todos nós em toda a Europa, não só pelo seu trabalho político, como pelo trabalho de Ministro das Infraestruturas que está a desenvolver em Itália. Uma referência e um entusiasmo para todos. Um grande abraço a todos os companheiros de toda a Europa que estão reunidos em Florença. Podem contar connosco, podem contar com a força de Portugal, podem contar com a força do Chega em Portugal e em toda a Europa para fazermos a diferença, a mudança e para vencermos estas próximas eleições europeias. Vamos com tudo e vamos mostrar a Bruxelas quem verdadeiramente manda na Europa, os cidadãos europeus. Um abraço a todos e até breve.
Bene, adesso passiamo a un altro intervento politico.
Now let us move to another political contribution from Portugal to Romania, where over the last few years we have seen a new party that is ever more central in the political arena. It is a country in which the community is particularly lively, And the video contribution, please. So now I'd like to give the floor to the president of the party, Aur York Simeon. You're welcome.
Grazie Milo.
Thank you so much. I'll try to speak in this beautiful Italian language.
Grazie mille. Il nostro.
Thank you so much. You know, our future is together. We have united in this marvelous city of Florence. All the parties that want to have a Europe of peoples, a Europe of identity. I'm proud to be Romanian, to come from Romania, as you are proud to be Italians. And be members of the Northern League, of the League. I am the leader of the main sovereign party in Romania. We fight for defending our national values, common values. We fight for the homeland, the family, God.
E lottiamo per libertà.
For freedom. We Romanians and you Italians, we have a common cultural origin, the Latin origin, the Christian origin. The left would like to erase this common origin. They would erase nations as well as natural families. We are all in favor of natural law. And it is a great pleasure to be here before you and speak with a deep sense of history. Here in Florence, Dante Alighieri offered his comedy, an allegory full of valuable teachings. What can we see today in Europe? The hell. The hell because we have irregular migrants. Hell because we have deindustrialization. Because we have the destruction of national identity, and we have the decline of Christianity. We cannot use words such as mother, father. motherland or fatherland. It is a real hell. We, United Patriots of the 27 member states of the European Union, we must be united for the next year European elections. We want to defend the real values of our homelands, mother, fathers with children. A sound, healthy society should be preserved without masters, without crazy people, without people like Frank Timmermans and Ursula von der Leyen. Without these crazy people in Brussels that want to create a European superstate. We have an historic opportunity, step by step. We can move to the purgatory and then to paradise. Few words are now appropriate for the Romanian people present here.
No, è bulgaro, c'è.
Continentul nostru străbun. Grazie a tutti.
Thank you so much, and God bless our nations.
Non volete mai.
Grazie a Giorgio, in bocca al lupo.
Thanks, and we wish you success for your fight in Romania. Let us now continue with the first non-political contribution, because it is the contribution made by a person that has to fight every day for his activity due to Brussels authorities. So today we wanted to invite and show you the practical example of an entrepreneur in the agricultural sector working in the Lombardy region, showing every day that a Lombard farmer can be sustainable in his approach and can be able to carry on innovation. And needs no people in the ivory tower of the Brussels institutions to teach him how to cultivate his land. He is a close friend of us, President of Italian Biogas Association, Piero Gattoni.
Mamma mia. Buongiorno a tutti, ringrazio.
Good morning. I wish to thank President Marco Zanni for these introductory remarks and for the invitation that gives me the possibility to be here and raise this issue of agriculture before such a wide audience. And I like to show you that agriculture and the environment are closely interwoven, and I will do so as a farmer and breeder, because this is what I decided to be when I started to work for my family-run company, and when we decided to invest in order to continue the tradition of cultivating cereals, fodder, meat and milk for Parmesan cheese, using anaerobic digestion and many other methods to produce energy. So it is a vision of the future that has led me to face this issue of agroecology, concrete approach, safety, and secular approach. But this is a model, my experience in the production of Parmigiano Reggiano, Parmesan cheese, that there are so many different systems of production. You have large dairy industry, family-run companies that export these products throughout the world, and these models are identified, are epitomized by these cheese. But if the slogan of the Union is united in diversity, I believe that we must use the plural. We must be very careful about the specificity and the specific characteristics of the various member states. This is the reason why agriculture is so important, because, agriculture is not just a fundamental sector for Europe, but it is mainly a factor of identity that can summarize these traditions and values of local communities. Let us talk about the Green Deal. Making agriculture green cannot be just a slogan. Green is associated with the environment, but this is the history, and traditionally it has also been related to the courage, hope, youth. In our company, together with other farms, we were courageous to invest in ecological transition even before the Green Deal. And many European farmers did so even before us. So we must go back to an eco-sustainable sector that is based on this courage and this hope. Originally, this pact was devised to channel investment towards climate neutrality. But in 2050, this climate neutrality is a goal that we all share, especially by the agricultural sector, that is the first sector to suffer the devastating effects of climate change. But this pact shows that there is no one single solution, one single recipe. We need to express different solutions. But are the farmers be involved in this pact? Probably the Green Deal, as in the inherent causes of its failure, because it has not taken into account the needs of all the different stakeholders. This model cannot be imposed authoritatively with a top-down approach. We need the involvement of local communities, of farmers. We need to involve all these stakeholders. We need simple, far-sighted policies. We need competence, skills when we talk about environmental issues, because the soil, the land is essential to solve the climate problem, and therefore we also need people that come, boots on the ground, to understand what is happening in real terms. So what would the farmers ask for this pact? First and foremost, we want to fight against emissions, not productions. We must fight against emissions and not productions. We must reduce waste. We must have policies that lead to a new model. We have all the necessary tools to do so. We must invest in precision farming, digitalization of the agricultural sector, the production of renewable energy from sustainable biomass. We want to have progressive policies and not regressive policies. Secondly, environmental sustainability is equally important as the economic sustainability. We need to have competitive farmers to spread all our products throughout the world. If we see the goals achieved, we understand that Europe is on the right path. And thirdly, we must be guided and oriented by common sense. In Europe, there has been a 20% reduction of emissions, while in Europe, these emissions increased by 7%, and in Brazil by 51%. So if we are not strong enough to impose also on other states reciprocity in the levels of production, the European farmers will be exposed to the unfair competition of companies from other parts of the world, and therefore we will delocalize production to areas in which the productive models are even less sustainable than in Europe. So we need common sense. So finally, I'd like to go back from what I started. Although we have this word Europe, the meaning of Europe is open to many different scenarios. And I hope that some of the actions that are deemed necessary for the agricultural sector may be turned into tangible measures for a real agricultural pact for Europe, for European farmers, so that we can look to the future being really deeply entrenched into our roots, because obviously these deep roots will never be frozen. Thank you, Piero, for the courage with which you talk to us, and so many European bureaucrats should have the same approach you had. Let us now move to the next political representative, Poland. And we had parties that decided to pool their efforts to unite a country, and a country that is becoming ever more important in Europe and world geopolitics. A few weeks ago, they had parliamentary elections, and this confederation brought 18 members to parliament. And now they also want to spread this fight also to the Brussels authorities.
Bene, invito a salire sul palco.
Well, now I'd like to give the floor to Roman Fritz from Poland.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this fantastic Congress. It's really, my heart is beating. Please let me say few sentences about our roots, our Latin civilization principles. So, where we are, how should we speak to each other in the morning of Sunday? Good morning, buongiorno, laudetur Jesus Christus, in saecula saeculorum, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, in this madly fast-paced world, I would like to reflect on principles. Our Latin civilization is based on three pillars: the Greek concept of truth, Roman law, and Christian values. Truth is replaced by subjectivism. Example, someone is a woman, but can present herself as a man and even try to change so-called gender. So let's call a spade a spade. Reject political correctness, call evil, evil, and set a good example for the younger generation. The law is being replaced by top-down, illogical regulations based on the dominant left-wing ideology. Christian religion is being replaced by pseudo-religion of climatism, environmentalism, transformed form of modern Marxism. The modern world has lost itself in a multitude of false signs, a kind of new speech and pseudoscience. The omnipresent ideology of sustainable development, which affects all areas of our life, is particularly harmful here. What is the way out of chaos and confusion? If you are lost in the woods, you can simply go back to a familiar path and follow the right path again. And on the right path, our true European values, time-honored and noble customs await us. God, honor, homeland, faith, family, property, truth, dignity, justice and freedom. All of this can be summed up in one expression as a Catholic tradition. This is essence of Latin civilization. Without a return to it, there will be no prosperity for our European nations. Courage! Let's go back to the roots, to the Latin heritage. God bless Europe. God bless Italy. Dio benedica l'Italia.
Grazie Roman.
Thank you, Roman. And now we move geographically far from Florence to Denmark, but ideologically we are so close to our hearts, and this is a party that has inspired so many of us for important issues such as the fight against immigration and the defense of our identity. After a not simple period, they are now again protagonists of their own political scenario.
Chiamo quindi sul palco Vicepresidente.
So here on the podium, Margrethe Bilkom, Vice President of the Danish Volksparty. Welcome to Florence.
Dear fellow European patriots, it is an honor to be gathered with you today. As a representative of the Danish People's Party, I am pleased to see that other European right-wing parties are becoming more influential, and that the people of Europe are slowly awakening to the reality of multiculturalism and mass migration. The Danish People's Party has for a long time been considered as one of the most successful right-wing anti-immigration parties in Europe. For a long time, we supported different right-wing governments in return for influence on the migration policies. For that reason, many of you have been looking at Denmark as a country of inspiration and hope. Because of our influence, it is safe to say that our conditions in Denmark are not nearly as bad as other European countries, although we still have our problems. However, our strict migration policies and influential position in Danish politics came with a price for our party. We became too comfortable and complacent in our dominant position due to our many victories, and we were not prepared for the hard times to come. Back in 2015, when the migrants invaded Europe, and in 2018, when the Marrakesh Agreement was signed, we supported the government, and we did not stand our ground. This was a fatal mistake that contributed to our decline. We were paralyzed, and we didn't do enough to utilize our strong position from the 2015 election. Therefore, we failed the voters' expectation and were rightly attacked from both the right and the left. In this period, we dropped from 21% to just 2% over a span of 7 years. I am telling you this to warn you to not become complacent when you have reached a certain point of influence. Do not take it for granted that you have reached a certain point. For it is a matter of time before things can go the other way if you don't fully utilize your strength. Stand your ground and be careful to support a government that doesn't implement the necessary adjustment to the migration policies. Luckily, we have managed to turn the tide, and the Danish People's Party is now flourishing again. With our new party leader, Morten Messerschmidt, whom many of you may know, we have managed to recreate ourselves and to set a new direction for our party. For this and for the general uprising of right-wing nationalist parties in Europe, I am very excited for the future. For too long, Europe have been dominated by left-wing politicians and globalists who have slowly destroyed much of Europe. They have allowed an invasion of foreign people who do not belong here. And they have undermined our democratic right to handle the issue on our own. They are allowing Middle Eastern gangs to control the streets, and they are allowing leftist teachers in our schools and the left-wing media to indoctrinate our populations. All this needs to stop. We need to overthrow the liberal establishment. Thank you. We need to overthrow the liberal establishments around Europe, and we need to replace the rule of globalist bureaucrats in Brussels. We need to take back control. Thank you. Let us therefore share our different experiences and let us learn from each other's mistakes. Let us hold each other accountable and let us celebrate each other's victories. Thank you very much.
Grazie Maybrit.
Thank you, Margaret, and all the best for your battle in Denmark. Now we move to Estonia, which has been a main pillar in establishing the group identity and democracy. They've been ruling in the past years. Now they're just heading the pole, ready to go back to the power and to be an important ally. So the video from Estonia now.
Bene, invito a salire sul palco dall'esterno.
I invite to the stage the president of the party of Estonia, EKRE, Martin Helme.
Thank you for having me. It's a wonderful, wonderful city. I enjoy being in Italy every time. Now, the old Chinese curse is that may you live in interesting times. Well, it certainly has come to pass. We are indeed living in a very interesting time, although I suspect most of us would prefer to live in easier times. It presents opportunities, of course. We are seeing the collapse of the liberal order happening in front of us. And when I say liberal, it really makes no difference. It's left, it's liberal, it's progressive, it's the same. It is evil. And we have been fighting it all along. We have been proven right on everything. We were right when we warned about the disaster of destroying natural family. Now even the blind can see the destruction and misery it has brought. Even the most liberal and ignorant people can't go along with the horrors being done to children under the banner of transgenderism. The psychological and physical mutilation of young people is just too much. We were right when we said no to mass migration. It has caused death and destruction in every country it has happened. Senseless death of our countrymen, willful destruction of peaceful, well-functioning, culturally coherent and safe societies. Now, only the most brainwashed and fanatical are still chanting, diversity is our strength. We have been proven right on Green Deal. Net zero is not about saving the planet. It is about taking your money and your freedoms. So naturally, we are hopeful. Hopeful that as the people are turning away from the miserably failed policies of the loony left, they will more and more support us, the normals. We are the normal nationalists. We are normal conservatives, normal sovereignists, normal right-wingers. We are right to be hopeful. We are the only ones that have recognized the problems, and we are the only ones that have solutions. But let's not be naive. The corrupt, ideologically fanatical establishment will not be beaten easily. The left will lie, cheat and steal to stay in power. They will create synthetic new parties and field pseudo-candidates that will be very similar to us, just to take votes away from us. You just go and ask Marine Le Pen about Zemmour, or ask Geert Wilders about Peter Omtzigt. The left will try to scare the voters away from us by labeling and lying all day long. And yet, it will not work. We will win in the end. That's, by the way, when our biggest challenge lies. Once in government, we have to deliver. We have to fulfill the promises given to the people. We have to stay true to our policies stay true to our principles. If we become like the establishment, no one needs parties like us. There is no point in becoming like them just to be in government. The point of being in government is to bring about the change of course. That's what the people support us for. That's what they expect from us. Turning our support into government policies, that's our biggest goal. We really live in interesting times. Let's not waste it. Thank you, Italy.
Grazie Martin. Ora
Thank you, Martin. Now we go back to Italy, to Friuli Venezia Giulia, for just a presentation of the flagship element of the Northern League, our Northern administration fighters in the territory, always on the front line to meet the citizen expectation and also to consider the Brussels crazy deals. I invite my friend, a fighter, the mayor of Monfalcone, Anna Maria Cisin.
Allora intanto
So first and foremost, good morning everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity which has been given me. If we're not warriors, fighters, we are over in our city. I was told to be short. We'll try to be quite short, but I want to tell you that now we have a sort of general call, a sort of a call for alarm. Monfalcone, we've been ruling for 6.5 years. So, and what is going to happen in a few years in Friuli Venezia Giulia and the rest of Italy? No, we are now fighting all days for this craziness of applying a different, absolutely different model, cultural model, which wants to impose its rules. This cultural model of Islam, the most integralist Islam, which is a big peril, a huge peril to our cities, to our region, to our communities, to our history, heritage, to our culture, and to our freedom. And all days, we do see this in any school, in any street, walking down our streets, our roads, which shows in a very manifest way more and more numerous presence of people reaching Italy. So 30,000 inhabitants. Now we have 30% of foreign people, most of them being from Islam. 7,000 inhabitants plus 2,000 all days. They are rich and they just increase these numbers. 7,000 people from Muslim countries, 1,700 they work, and all the rest are just on the charge of our welfare system, and these 1,707 are women. The other, they do not work, which is a huge catastrophe, a real catastrophe. That's the reason why. That's the reason why all days, every day we fight all days, also with some problems. So we also are a bit concerned because when we realize what is happening, what happened in Paris yesterday, what is happening all days in our cities in Europe, what happened in Milan. So inside the mosque we knew that for 1 year time that Islamic terrorists succeeded in surviving because this is being protected by someone. But what is the function of these mosques? They are illegal. Is legitimate to accept mosques? Well, I'm telling you, I want to tell you that we, on this month, we succeeded in closing 2 mosques. We succeeded in closing 2 mosques. We closed 2 mosques. We closed 2 mosques because they were illegal and illegitimate, because the town planning scheme was not respected, the authorization, the permits were given for other types, for other uses. These raise problems for the social order and security. We have to start from this point. That's a competency to take over by mayors. And today, mayors might also find an agreement in order to check for what is happening inside those mosques, not in cultural centers. 1 month ago, so behind the cathedral, on the belfry, they climb over the belfry, the bell tower. We got some young Muslim saying, Allah Akbar, let's kill Israel. They've shown their faces, telling us for whom they're fighting. And we asked ourselves, where did they learn such a great deal of hatred? That's a question we have to ask ourselves, because in that mosque, Italian is not spoken. And that's another big point that's incomprehensible. We don't know if preaching is preaching for hatred. So the second point, we've got 3 points. I'm going to speak quickly. So the integral veil, 75% of women living in Monfalcone, they're wearing a veil. They're obliged to cover up their face using this veil, total veil. They're obliged to cover up totally their faces. Another piece of news, also young daughters, young girls at school, they know the way to behave. That's what the Imam says when I was told, we're not interested in integration, we're interested in replacing you. And yesterday, another interesting piece of news, one gynecologist, one of my friends, one father and dad, so they said, with our bellies and your lows, so we're going to beat you because we're going to have a lot of children. I convey this message. We leave this situation, and I'm finishing this off with a great danger. We have this constant Islamization process, constantly so witnessing. The figures in Monfalcone are so high as to the concentration. When we have a Muslim integralist reaching us, and the integralism grew up enormously in these years, 5-6 years, that family have 6 family members. So yes, we saved the 5th girl over 3 years. So a girl 15 years old, a girl so at the fertile age didn't want to go to Bangladesh for marry. So the family has chosen. That's a practice we have to reject. We have to fight against this. We have to fight this, because if we don't fight this in a few years, we're going to disappear. We have to be the way we are. We're going to be replaced. We're going to be substituted. Instead, we want to keep our history, our roots, heritage still living, our freedom and our freedom. Thank you very much for this huge opportunity you gave to me. Thank you, Anna Maria, for showing what is at stake today. And from Friuli, we go to Middle Europe. Now we're moving to Prague, to the Czech Republic, where we just political party SPD for the Patriots, the Czech Patriots, a robust ally of this group identity democracy, fighting all days in order to defend its citizens from the madness of Brussels. Please, the video clip from the Czech Republic now.
Bene, con piacere che...
With pleasure, I invite to the stage the president of SPD, Tomio Okamura.
Buongiorno, Italia.
Good morning, Italy. How are you?
Thank you for the honor of meeting you here, and let me express my full support to all of you, your party, and my friend Matteo Salvini. Italy is troubled by migration in terrifying proportions and for many years. I believe we will agree that the redistribution of migrants does not solve the problem of Italy and Europe. Every illegal migrant accepted by Europe is an invitation for a million more in Africa and Asia. The only consistent solution at this point is compliance with law and international agreements. This means consistent protection of borders, as it was promoted by my esteemed colleague and friend Matteo Salvini as Minister of the Interior. Matteo defended his country despite the Brussels bureaucracy, which has supported people smugglers and migration for a long time. Thank you, Matteo. The rest of us who live in Europe should help countries which face the invasion of illegal migrants. But the meaning of this help must not be that we accept illegal migrants, but that we help Italy and other European states to protect their attacked borders. Every boat with migrants at the border of Italian territorial waters must be turned back from where it sailed. It is necessary not to let invade any boat with illegal migrants to Europe. Under no circumstances. Anyone who tries to cross the border of the European Union illegally must know in advance that will not have the right of asylum. It is also necessary to stop the Islamization of Europe. Protecting Europe from migrant invasions is not just a fight against migrants, but a fight to save European national cultures and European values. Mass migration from African and Islamic countries will destroy Europe. It will destroy it economically, socially, and in terms of security. We have to stop this by any possible means. Every nation has the right to its own culture. I refuse to be told by any foreigner how we should live in our own country. And it doesn't matter if they are bureaucrats from Brussels or maladaptive immigrants. We don't want illegal migration, a meaningless Green Deal and censorship. We want freedom, democracy, and a normal life. I refuse to make us feel unsafe in our own country. Every nation has a right to its land. Every nation and its citizens have the right to decide who they want in their country and who they don't. We want democracy, not totality. Whatever anyone from anywhere wants to dictate to us. I wish you, dear friends, dear Matteo, Italy, and all of you, good luck. Grazie a tutti. Viva la libertà e democrazia.
Grazie Tomio e adesso
Thanks, Tomio. And now let us move to the northern part of Europe, in which there is a special ally of the League. We shared part of our common path together against European institutions, a party that has good roots shared with the League.
Con immenso
And it is with great pleasure that I welcome a friend with which we have been sharing for 10 years our battles in the European Parliament. Gerolf Annemans, head of the delegation to the European Parliament.
Ani. Oggi sono
I'm here today in your splendid Florence to bring the greetings of the Flemish people. We Flemish from Vlaams Belang, we are friendly partners, convinced partners of the League. We have been so for almost 30 years. I can still remember when in 2013 I traveled to Turin together with our Dutch colleague Geert Wilders to hail the new and young president of the League, Matteo Salvini. That surprised us with a brilliant speech. The friendship between the League and Vlaams Belang is one of the most beautiful things that you could experience in politics. Friendship, trust, and loyal collaboration based on the mutual freedom to serve first and foremost the interests of our own people. And it is exactly this type of cooperation that we have in mind, also when we talk about Europe. Because since you are against the current situation and the current trends of the European Union, we anyway love our continent, we love Europe. We are not against Europe. We are in favor of Europe.
It's quite simple. Either we allow them, our opponents, to push us further down the road, further on the path of their globalization and their multilateralism, or we decide to resist. And if we resist, if we would decide to resist, it would not be too late, but on one condition only, and that is that we have to be united instead of divided. Starting this journey of resistance can only be useful if we do this together. The opponents, this multipolar and multi-headed dragon of new liberalism and European Union, is overwhelming, but it is not too big to fail. We are getting stronger all over the place, and let me say to you, we are dear friends on the verge of a new era. What we need is a regime change. Liberalism failed, thus let us, dear friends, take over. And allow me now to stress here the importance of the year 2024 that is coming up. Many of you are familiar with the story from Greek mythology. Europe was an extraordinary and breathtaking beauty. When the supreme god Zeus saw her, he instantly fell in love and changed himself into a beautiful white bull that first seduced her, but then raped Europe in a terrible way. The story ended very badly. I tell you this story to point out that Greek mythology is in fact a metaphor for what happened to the beautiful dream of cooperation between member states on the European continent. This dream was brutally raped by a mainly bureaucratic elite and a green left-wing political class. As many of you know, cooperation on the European continent is, since the so-called treaties of Maastricht and Lisbon, no longer a free alliance of free nations, but it has chosen the direction of a new empire under construction. Hence my call for unity, the unity of the forces that resist. All EU critical partners should work together. We should work together without reluctance, without fear, and without all kinds of cordon sanitaire. The importance of our united cooperation for our common goal and for redirecting what will happen in the next few years on the European continent is key to the future of all European peoples. Because democracy on the continent is on its deathbed. I would not dare to go as far as Boris Johnson in his enthusiast biography of his idol Winston Churchill. Johnson called, describing the plans of Nazi Germany with Europe, the whole project, I quote, a sinister edition of the European Union, end of quote. The EU agenda of neoliberalism has, in the last few years, indeed been expanded in a very extremist way, mainly on the basis of climate religion and pushed through by a majority that basically is a mixed bag of communists, Greens, socialists, so-called liberals, and unfortunately also Christian Democrats. The next few years will not only decide upon Hungary's or Poland's future, but upon the future of us all on the entire continent. Will the continent end in slavery or a big brotherish brave new world, or will we prevail? My dear friends, we will prevail. That's why I call for the unity that we need. The answer is ours, my friend. Let us act together, stand united, and change the regime.
Grazie. Gerolf B.
Thanks. And now we have another great friend, a long-standing friend, with whom we have followed a common path, Austria. In Austria, FPÖ has long been the first party in the polls, and it is also a great part of the identity family in Europe.
Allow.
Bene, chiamo sul palco.
I'd like to give the floor to the leader of the representative from Austria, Harald Wilimski, head of the delegation to the European Parliament. Hi Florence, hi friends, hi Matteo, the captain. Hi friends from the whole of Europe. Just a moment, let me finish. I love Italy, but unfortunately I cannot speak Italian. May I speak in my mother tongue, German? It is a great honor and a great responsibility to take the floor here in front of you, in front of this authoritative audience of Italian, Florentine friends. I can see this positive feeling that will support us in Europe. But it is, as I said, also a great responsibility starting from us in order to launch an appeal to globalists, internationalists, Islamists, communists, Marxists, and left-wing media. We are fed up with all this. We want our countries back. We want our democracy back. We want our sovereignty, our freedom back. We couldn't care less of the establishment of politically correctness. We are not interested in fake media. We are not interested in what is called as woke. We want to have our values back. We want freedom, peace, democracy, and prosperity for everybody in Europe. Our family is expanding ever more. I can recall 8-9 years ago when we were in Brussels and we have Matteo Salvini, Lorenzo Fontana, Marine Le Pen, Geert Wilders, Ton Fritten, and we have the hardcore of political allies that was together to reform Europe, and we did our utmost to create this entity, and indeed we succeeded, and now we are in a political family that is ready to take up the responsibility of guiding the whole of Europe. Matteo Salvini, that is really the bulwark against the illegal migration. Marine Le Pen, that I could see 2 weeks ago in Paris and played an important role in the negotiations and at EU level, and also a hope for France. She will run for the presidency in France, so we want to support her. And then we have Geert Wilders, that today is the #1 in the Netherlands. He is an important political partner for us, with whom we have friendly relations, as well as the Prime Minister from Hungary, and they fight for pluralism and greater awareness in Europe. So I'm so glad that there is here also AfD with Dino Krupala and Ares Vadel, the second strongest force in the polls of the largest country in the EU. So we really want Italy to remain Italy, Germany to remain Germany, and the same holds true for France, Austria, and so on and so forth. We want to preserve our diversity. I'm really convinced that the key to success in the future is not based on globalism and multilateralism. So we must find a new situation of prosperity and well-being. We must move towards a new thinking. No longer fake news. We want a lively democracy. And we want to have a pluralism and a society acting in a responsible way for citizens and companies. Now I'd like to urge people having power in Brussels authorities. In our opinion, the support given to Ukraine is wrong, and the same holds true for the support to the war of Israel against Palestine. And it is also a mistake to have these e-cars and you must not impose us to eat insect flour. So, my dear friends, I'm really proud to be part of this alliance, of this family of saviors, together with Matteo, Lorenzo, and many other friends, as well as Alice, all those who are within this alliance with the conservative parties. I think that we must lead Europe towards a new future. We have never disappointed our people, so my dear friends, we want freedom, democracy, and plurality in our continents. Thanks, Matteo. Thanks, Harold. And we move from Austria to Germany, in which they have succeeded in openly challenge the historical traditional domination of the European People's Party and the Social Democrats. And we hope that they will succeed. So the floor to our colleagues from Germany.
I invite now to the stage the leader alternative for Deutschland, Tino Kuppela.
Ja, liebe Freunde des
Dear friends of Free Europe, dear friends every day, dear Matteo Salvini, thank you for your kind invitation. And greetings from AfD, from Elise Weidel. And thank you because you make us belong to a great united family. Dear friends, here in Florence, we do see the real face of Europe. The Medicis palaces, Botticelli's paintings, the cathedrals, with its marble facade, really breathtaking architects, engineers, and artists, and artisan craftsmen. These are the people who made this possible with some very united strength. Europe requires the cooperation of everyone, workers and also heads of states. Anyone has to play his or her own role because anyone needs safety, security and well-being. But it's not like this today. In Germany, the economy is regressing, so companies delocalizing, and bankruptcy, insolvency is big than ever. Sanctions against Russia has struck our countries. We're just here.
Neues Europa zu bauen.
We're just here to build up a new Europe. This Europe will be a home, well, with a lot of apartments, where all of us we might see how we can see things the best way we want, where we have the right, we're entitled to do what we want to do and to be what we want to be. This house will get a large garden, our kids will play in this garden, but those will be a huge role in such a way those not desire will keep off. This year will be a safe place to be. Bureaucrats, however, they have other ideas in their minds. They exclude citizens from the European institutions. They want to dictate the way we live, how to hit our homes, how to get a move. Our gates or doors must be always open so anyone can get in order to use our properties, our goods. What we need to live, we have to share. But also we have to be happy and to share things with the others. No, we don't want this globalist Europe.
Wir sind für Solidarität und Sicherheit.
We are for solidarity and safety. We're for freedom, for property, for our vision, for a Europe of nations. We can make this real through common work. Our cooperation has been strong over years, so we want to act in a hurry now. Our recipe calls interest policy. This recipe has been considered during the pandemic. We have not been listening to the ones telling us follow the elite. Immunization is mandatory. We are healthy but not slaves. We've been looking for all that. After the outbreak of the Russian-Ukraine war, we said this is not our war. We need diplomacy. We need a free, peaceful action with the entire globe. The Russian economy is growing in spite of sanctions. The German economy is going backwards. That's really crazy. Energy is expensive as never. Migrations of companies, associations warning about the industrialization is coming, and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians died in this war. Ukraine cannot win this war. They should stop it. Today, the German citizens are paying the consequences of this conflict. Financial management against the constitution, justified just with the war, split in the continent of Europe. But we can find safety and security just strengthening the connection between peoples with infrastructures. This would be common sense. The European Union is not making any sort of policy, but is endangering safety, security, well-being in an immeasurable way. We have to reform Europe, the European Union, for our citizens from ground. Germany grew up a lot also thanks to the automobile industry. The automobile industry or car is an European invention. We must be proud of this. Italian invented the internal combustion engine. Carpens, German, invented the automobile with a gas engine car, Italian developed, invented, so quicker, engines, the most beautiful car bodies. Our countries made the automobile sector so important, giving well-being to people through cooperation and competition. But the European Union wants to destroy all this. They decide the ban of combustion since 2035. Only in 2025 we got the 7th regulation on the exhaust gases, reducing combustion, also increase the manufacturing costs. So the citizen will not have the possibility to buy a car, to pick up children in school, to go to work. We have to stop this war against cars, and the real transportation is freedom. Dear friends, we are now facing great challenges, war for resources. Really, we are at the tipping point. The Western countries can dictate the will, and we have to accept this. This new world, Europe, has to find its own place and its own self-determination. Dear friends, we have a vision, a positive, sustainable vision for a strong Europe of nations. Europe is more than one simple European Union. Europe is the union of peoples, a wide space which has to house infrastructures on the continent, energy, raw materials, corridors. These are the big issues of our epoch. The road of less rebellion is not the one paving the way to success. For this, we have to repair the Nord Stream and to start this again. Now I'm going to mention someone which was a very illustrious politician, Niccolò Machiavelli. We are not Machiavelli's thought, but Machiavelli was not a Machiavellist. He was a realist. He said, the greatest enemy of the new order is the one who got the advantages from the old order. Quickly, John, so we're just here for a new Europe. We have to get ready to pave the way to go. These are our peoples, the peoples of Europe, being responsible for that. And finally, I would like to make an apology. Ursula von der Leyen is the most dangerous person in Europe, she is, and I make an apology for this. And now, we're all together. All together we are so great. We only will freedom and peace and sovereignty to our peoples. Thank you.
Grazie Tino. Adesso.
Thank you, Tina. Now we move to the other side of the ocean, where we have a friend who just came from the United States of America. She's a journalist, a fighter, a warrior, and she's going to speak a very crucial topic, the one of freedom of speech. So this freedom has been threatened in Europe, but also in the United States of America. The culture of the politically correct, the culture of the unique thought. So Babylon Bee, so that's just a sort of comedy challenging the progressist movements. No doubt a free and bold voice inspiring a lot of people with this courage. I'm very pleased to welcome in Florence Ashley St. Clair from the Babylon Bee. Welcome, Ashley, to Florence.
Can you guys tell I'm American? I am honored to be.
È un grande onore per me essere qui oggi, ma io voglio chiedere a tutti di fare un applauso a Identità e Democrazia per questo evento incredibile. È veramente incredibile vedere che cosa è stato organizzato qui oggi a Firenze. Sono qui oggi perché spero appunto di potervi parlare oggi di quella che è l'importanza del libero pensiero e della satira oggi nel mondo. Io mi chiamo Ashley St. Clair e vi aiuterò a navigare un po' nelle acque traditrici ma divertenti della satira. Lavoro per Babylon Bee. Noi siamo famosi per quelli che sono i nostri titoloni sulle fake news, molti dei quali sono stati inseriti anche nel nostro libro delle profezie proprio per la capacità dei nostri autori di prevedere queste notizie prima ancora che accadessero. Ricorderete per esempio che nell'ottobre del 2022 dicevamo proprio che i cittadini che possono in qualche modo rimuovere dal potere il potere al potere sono praticamente alla fine della democrazia, e poi nell'agosto del 2023 l'ho scritto il New York Times dicendo che le elezioni sono negative per la democrazia. Quindi la satira è gioia, è ribellione, arruffa le penne a quella che è la sinistra, alle grandi imprese della tecnologia. Ma il problema è che non si prendono soltanto gioco delle nostre esistenze, come facevano i vecchi giullari conservatori. Non ci chiedono di ritrattare, vogliono semplicemente metterci sotto silenzio. Come diceva David LaChapelle, è pericoloso parlare. Quindi noi veniamo messi, diciamo, al bando a livello di area culturale, veniamo in qualche modo bloccati in quella che è la nostra marcia contro la sinistra. Nonostante quello che facciamo sia un po' la definizione dell'attacco in qualche modo, noi fondamentalmente veniamo messi in difesa. E questo è un vero e proprio ordine velato, secondo me, da parte della sinistra. Perché diciamo che la vera satira non si inginocchia davanti al potere, e farlo praticamente ti espone a diventare vittima di attacchi. Considerate per esempio quel momento in cui Twitter praticamente aveva bloccato il nostro account perché avevamo criticato, ridicolizzato la designazione da parte di USA Today di Rachel Levin come segretario appunto della sanità transgender dell'amministrazione Biden come appunto la donna dell'anno. Noi, la nostra risposta, che era un titolo appunto che diceva l'uomo dell'anno semmai, era stata ritenuta qualcosa che era andata troppo oltre, una violazione delle nostre politiche contro il misgender, e l'ultimatum era stato: cancellate il tweet, ammettete la vostra terribile condotta votata all'odio o altrimenti perderete questo giochino digitale. Ora, il nostro CEO, amministratore delegato Seth Dillon, aveva scelto l'integrità rispetto al rispetto di questo ordine e si era rifiutato di cancellare quel tweet perché non era censura, era proprio essere soggiogati. Poi qualche giorno dopo questo rifiuto Elon Musk aveva chiamato Seth alludendo alla possibilità di comprare Twitter. All'epoca Seth aveva pensato che Musk stesse giocando, ma poi tutti sappiamo che in realtà era super serio e che Musk però comprende quelli che sono i pericoli della censura, sa che dobbiamo evitare di essere in qualche modo ridicolizzati per quelle che sono le nostre idee, altrimenti si diffonde un virus della mente che rovinerà tutto. E allora dobbiamo dire che fra i principali virus della mente c'è proprio quello che viene definito wokeness, e Musk lo ha definito come una delle peggiori minacce alla civiltà e l'ha citato come una minaccia che in qualche modo poi l'ha spinto a comprarsi Twitter. Quando Seth ha chiesto a Elon perché wokeness fosse una minaccia, lui ha detto perché è divisiva e soprattutto porta all'odio. La posizione di Elon è molto chiara: la censura è qualcosa di antitetico alla narrazione, le idee devono essere dissezionate, derise se necessario, e devono in qualche modo portare a far marcire la società, una società corrotta. La satira, come afferma Musk, è una sorta di contagio di divisione al vetriolo, e bisogna quindi cercare in qualche modo di proteggere, di tutelare le persone dal danno della satira, silenziando l'opposizione, sotto il mantello appunto di quelle che sono le tattiche oppressive. In un'era digitale dove l'intelligenza artificiale generale
preserving the essence of comedy becomes not just a cultural imperative, but a testament to our times. The data we feed this digital consciousness will shape future interpretations of our society. While technological progression should be celebrated, we need to understand that it has the ability, if it has not already, to set us on a path where our freedoms will be eroded not by chains, but by code. Thus, honesty in our humor is paramount, and maintaining a free internet is paramount. It must be a beacon that outshines the shadows of censorship. Free speech is the lifeblood of comedy, and without it, satire withers into propaganda, humor into a hollow echo of the powers that be. And as we stand on the digital frontier, it's vital that our voices remain uncensored. For AGIs learn from every post, every text, every meme. They learn from a humanity unfiltered in all its beautiful complexity, not a sanitized narrative forged by a few. Protecting comedy is protecting the soul of discourse. In every era, jesters have spoken truth to power, cloaked in wit. Today, our battleground has shifted to pixels and platforms, but the fight for truth remains. We wield our words against the absurd, the unjust, and the untrue. We must be outspoken, every single one of us, against censorship in all forms, even censorship of jokes that you don't like or jokes that go too far, whatever that means. The censors, big tech, and our elected officials claim that through their muzzling, they just want peace. All they want is peace, peace, peace. A little piece of our freedoms, a little slice of our minds, a little bit of our children, a little piece of our souls. So let us remember Dante's words, fitting for our struggle against those who seek to confiscate our liberties. Consider your origin. You were not formed to live like brutes, but to follow virtue and knowledge. Thank you.
Grazie Ashley per la tua testimonianza.
Thank you, Ashley, for your witness. And now we have just Peter contribution, very important. Couldn't be with us today because he's been so very much occupying the discussion to find out a new coalition, make it possible to be the Prime Minister of an important country, the Netherlands. He won the election last week and is one of the most important pioneers against the fight to Islamic fundamentalism. The video of our friend Gert Wilder, leader of PVV from the Netherlands.
Ciao Italia, bella Italia, I miei amici.
Italy, my friends. Mi dispiace molto non poter essere con voi a Firenze oggi per incontrarvi tutti, patrioti e amanti della libertà. E naturalmente il mio amico italiano, Matteo Salvini.
Matteo, you always were.
Matteo, sei sempre stato e sarai un'ispirazione per me e per tanti amici, e tanti altri. Amici miei, la scorsa settimana
Elections with 24% of the vote. A historic victory, a triumph for the people, a political earthquake in the Netherlands and Europe. We gave hope to millions of people because our message was clear. The Netherlands first. Stop asylum and mass immigration. No more billions of taxpayers' money to leftish liberal ideals as climate change and nitrogen. Use those billions to lower taxes of our people so they then can pay their rent, groceries, and other utilities. My friends, we can achieve greatness for our people, for our nations. And may winning the national elections in the Netherlands be the start of a wave of national election wins all across Europe. And there is no better time and no better place to emphasize this than right now in Florence, the cradle of the Renaissance, the city of the rebirth of Europe. My friends, our journey forward is grounded in the principles that have defined us throughout history: sovereignty, national identity, and freedom. And we have to ensure that decisions affecting our nations are made by those who know and love it best. Our identity, forged through generations of shared history, values, and traditions, is the foundation upon which our nation stands. And the excessive influx of immigrants, as seen in the last decades, can dilute the very essence of what makes us who we are. So this is a call for recognition, that a cohesive society is one that understands and respects its roots. And by advocating for reasonable limits and even an asylum stop, temporary or permanently, we are ensuring that our cultural tapestry remains vibrant and intact. Protecting the interest of our own people does not equate to a lack of compassion or empathy. It is about prioritizing the well-being of our citizens, ensuring access to education, employment, and social services. It's about maintaining a society where everyone can thrive and contribute. In advocating for limits on immigration, we are not turning our backs on the world. Instead, we are asserting our responsibility to create a stable and prosperous nation that can serve as an example for others. And let us be the architects of a future where our identity is celebrated, our culture is preserved, and the interests of our own people are at the forefront of our priorities. My dear friends, may our nations prosper under the guidance of their patriots, as we unite in our shared commitments to the ideals and values that define our various nations. May your endeavors be fueled by passion, resilience, and a steadfast dedication to the betterment of our communities and countries. And together, may we strive for more freedom, more safety, more prosperity, creating a future that reflects the strength and resilience of our efforts. Thank you.
Grazie, grazie Gert, ti aspettiamo.
Thank you, Gert, and we're just waiting for you, sir, as the Prime Minister of your country in Italy. We go back to France. We got the contribution delivered by Marine Le Pen, a video clip. Now we want to pass the thought to another voice of hopes, of freedom, fighting for a better future for its country, for Europe. And also the youngest leader of the identity group, the video contribution from France now.
Bene, chiamo ora con me sul palco una...
Now I'd like to give the floor a friend, President of Rassemblement National, Jordan Bardella.
Cari amici,
dear friends of Italy and of the entire Europe, Mr. Minister, Captain, dear friends, Matteo,
avant de démarrer,
before starting, I would like to say a few words in French. I would like to spare the thought for the victims of the Islam attack last night. Caused the death of a German citizen, and we're thinking of our comrade and his family. A few words in French now. I know that you like hearing the French language. Sounds good, isn't it? Thank you so much for having me.
So che vi piace ascoltare.
I know that you like hearing the French language, but since Italy is my country of origin, I will speak Italian now, okay? I will switch to Italian from my native French. My family has Italian roots. Thank you all for this warm welcome, for your energies. Thank you, Matteo, for having me. Thank you, Matteo, for the friendship and the loyalty of the Rassemblement National, Johnny, Marie Le Pen, and the League. Thank you, our friends, who represent the face of a new Europe, the Europe of the free nations. We're very proud of this. We are very proud of being in Florence today. This city represents one of the greatest success ever reached of Italian civilization and so of European civilization. The writer Stendhal, in the 19th century, when he reached Florence, when he came to Florence, he wrote, "Suddenly, out of the blue, my view was on the valley, and I've seen a black mass, Santa Maria del Fiore, the cathedral, and its famous cupola, dome by Brunelleschi. I've seen this jumping out of the mists of Florence. The cathedral, its belfry, the bell tower. There's the place where Dante lived, Michelangelo lived, Leonardo da Vinci lived. That's the land of these masters. This noble city is the queen of the Middle Ages. That's the cradle of civilization. That's Florence." So these were the words of Stendhal, the famous French writer, novelist, speaking of this marvelous city of Florence, which was the cradle of the Renaissance. And in these walls, civilization started again. And in these walls, we wanted to renovate our wish of going ahead with this tradition. Florence is the world ordered according to the European spirit, for the taste for wit and love for beauty. When you come to Florence, you feel a great feel of proudness, knowing this was an incredible civilization. We love the nations of Europe. We want to protect and defend the nations of Europe and to convey these to the future generation. That's why we love Europe. That's why we fight against the policy of the European Union. We just want to wipe this off. That's why we love Europe. And that's why we refuse the idea of our continent to be a prey of Washington and Peking. And the match of Erdogan, and also the flag of African countries. We don't want this. We reject all that. The prospects open up to us patriots are unlimited. So the peoples are standing everywhere. They want to break the denial and denial. We have this big wave of hopes, as we have seen with the success of our friend Geert Wilders in the Low Countries and the Netherlands. So we have new hopes in Europe, new hopes for a new birth. We cannot be asked to shut up by the technocrats in Brussels. The peoples have to have a say now. Peoples being us, and peoples are the spokespersons of these hopes. Everywhere peoples are right, they feel angry with mass migration threatening our civilization in Europe, so also increasing crime. I want to stress with you some crucial points that really upset France. Maybe you've been hearing of this. In a small village of the southeast of France, during a popular celebration holiday, a young man, 16 years old, Thomas, has been killed by a gang of criminals, all migrants. They came to France in peace. They came to France in order to kill the white. This was a time of peace and friendship. This turned out to be a time, a moment of horror. For one entire family, an entire village, one young man has been stabbed, killed to death. All the French had their hearts broken looking at this, terrible image of Thomas coughing and his friends. No young man of 16 years of age should die under such, terrible circumstances. We want a new Europe without this killing, without these murders. We do not want a Europe where our young people die for a bad look or for some stupidity or simply because they are French in their homeland in France. We don't want Europe where our peoples are condemned to live with barbarians. The issue of migration in Europe is not a matter of statistics. That's the existence of our own identity, of what we are today and what we want to be tomorrow. To us, to our families. To us, we have no ambiguity in this response. We are on our homes and want to stay on our homes, our own homes. We wanted to remain French in France. We wanted to remain Dutch in the Netherlands, in the Low Countries. We wanted to be Italians in Italy. We want to be Europeans in Europe. That's what we do want. We want to preserve our traditions, our values, our culture, and our lifestyle. We want to protect our freedoms, the freedom of women, our families, and our civilization. That's what we do want to protect. Well, now, the images of the Lampedusa catastrophe have been seen by all the Europeans, these boat people. These images are really terrible. This may be the future of Europe tomorrow if we don't take the control of this situation right away, now. Be it the dissuasive policy. When he was a minister, Matteo Salvini has shown us that protecting our borders is possible. That's what Matteo Salvini has shown us when he was the Home Minister. It's possible to defend our borders. My friends, the European Union is now a danger to Europe. The European Union is trying to impose the ideology of degrowth, threatening our autonomy and our social fabric. Civil degrowth with the compulsory, distribution of migrants. Agricultural degrowth with the sort of punishment like ecology and the signature of free exchange agreements, also paving the way to some illegal and unloyal competition to all our farmers. Degrowth, industrial, with the ban of economic patriotism. Dear friends, we have to break this. We have to find new links with power and the European grandeur. the European alliance of nations, free, sovereign nations, capable of working together for the future sites of the future. In my country, France, we're getting ready to say, bye-bye, Macron. Bye-bye. We are very much committed in the same fight, a fight for our peoples, for our homelands, for our freedoms. We are the Europe looking ahead, aware of the riches of each country. We are the Europe of great projects of cooperation, the Europe of borders and identity. We are the proudness, we are the power, the fight, and above all the will of reaching these targets. We are near a new epoch, a new time. Thank you. Vive la France, vive l'Italie, and vive l'Europe des nations. Let's go Italy, let's go France, and let's go Europe of nations.
Grazie.
Thank you. And now we're coming to the final time, the most important time of this day, because in a while on the stage we're going to have the politician being the major reference of the European identity movements, the one who protected Italy and Europe from illegal migration and for which has been trialed. A video clip now.
È con grande piacere che chiamo.
I'm very pleased to invite the Vice Italian Premier, Infrastructure Ministry, and also Federal Secretary of the League, Matteo Salvini, Minister of Infrastructures in Italy. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you, Jordan Bardella, who speaks an Italian language more correct than the Italian spoken by some Italian journalists. They hardly can speak Italian, journalists in Italy. In just a few minutes, I'm delivering my speech. It's Sunday for anyone, for families, for mothers, for daddies. It's Sunday. We're closing to Christmas time. I'm saying this. I hope not to offend anyone in the left. I wish you a Merry Christmas to all of you without hoping not to offend anyone of the left. Two reflections. Paving the way to the real world, because after reading some dailies, we believe we live on another planet. This morning, I've been listening to friends coming from different countries with different cultural backgrounds, with some differences, because when we speak of Europe, of the people's identity and democracy, it's not something unusual. That's a sort of an alliance. They said peace, you said youth, you said friendship, you said security, you said new jobs. I believe today is an ordinary day, historical day almost, because today we can start the new renaissance of Europe that will be for rights, for new jobs, and the Italians, like the Flemish, the Germans, and the French, they will have a new choice, either the future or the past. On one hand, freedom. On the other hand, fears. On one hand, rights. The rights of workers, the rights of women, the rights of men. On the other hand, instead, extremism. On one hand, the right to employment. And I've been hearing people say no one is questioning the ecological transition. Well, we have to use our minds. So we have to tell imposing the electric car, as Brussels wants, is a sort of economic suicide. That's the pleasure we do to China. So Brussels can't impose just the use of electric cars. No. Someone has been welcomed with the Qatar gate with full, luggage. So this would not astonish me to have also sort of China gate. So for one part, we have the vision, speaking of wealth, of happiness, well-being, and then we have the constraints, the pact of stability. We cut by 0 point something, and then we have the Central European Bank spoiling millions of European citizens and families. Know what she is doing, and she says, "I reduce the inflation rate. Thank you, God. If you cause the poverty to millions of European citizens, so people cannot shop, food stop, or have a new mortgage to buy a new home." Special thanks to Florence, being our host, and a big kiss to these thousands of people, and to our friend, the mayor of Florence, Dario Nardella, who also introduced in the Constitution the ban of using a museum of those not belonging to the left. And I also thank the director Eike Schmidt, who opened the gates of culture to those who want European culture is going to be protected and safeguarded. Now we built up the future. From the past we switch to the future. Without robust roots, no future. Today we have no alliance, political. So what's good? I thought of past years. Today we have a new feeling of strong friendship on the stage. We have leaders, many leaders who seem to have a contribution also delivered. It's obvious in a love affair, in a professional story, we have some swings. Also, our friend from Denmark, from the Netherlands, this happened also in Italy. So identity and democracy, they do exist and should be and must be important in Europe, and no one has never abandoned a friend in troubles. Too easy to be allies just to those who just won the election. Thank you, you came from the entire Italy, because the league is there, so wins and is going to win against those who wished our, failure. We won and we will win again. So, in spite the Italian press is trying to divide the center-right party, I start from the German colleague. This can be a positive revolution which is focused on rights and employment, only if so we are united. It's not to be polemical. So these governments of the center-right wing, the Italians have chosen, will do something which is unexpected. They're going to rule this country for 5 years ahead. So for 5 years ahead. So we're not questioning this alliance between the central and right-wing parties. I work with Meloni and Tajani very well. I'm designing new infrastructures requiring years to go. So we're not questioning this government. In Brussels, they do not like. But I'm telling to my friends, we're guiding Italy, make Italy grow up again after the technocrats. This is the way we're going to take. We don't have to divide our powers, because between Macron and Le Pen, I'm choosing Marine Le Pen, an alternative led by the Marine Le Pen is the one I prefer instead to Macron's lead. I've been listening to many historical references in Florence. For a couple of minutes, I'm going to spend the time, but I read again this. Today is Sunday. I read just one passage of the Old Testament, David and Goliath. It's really fitting with what we're building up today, and I'm telling this to my friends who came from Europe. After hours of bus and planes, we got lots of incredible problems yesterday for the air flights. I thank you on behalf of the local administrator, mayors, and the members of the Northern League. Thank you very much, because soon you were in this Florentine fortress, a stronghold. Alberto da Giussano, thank you so much. In your regions, in your municipality, we are showing you what the league is and where the league wants to go to. David and Goliath. 99 cases out of 100. Goliath is going to win. Stronger. That's a giant, armed. So also at those times, so Goliath, so the history repeats itself, was fighting against Israel. Now we have some peace builders. We do not support any conflict in the world. I want to build up in Europe being a peacemaker, peace builder. What astonishes me, that even today, in the left, in Italy and in Europe, there is someone who can condemn the cancer of our continent, which is terror, extremism, and the Islam fanatism. The Islam has to be evicted from our schools, from our factories, from our districts, from our villages, from our towns. So immediately, no buts, no ifs. Goliath was a giant. I read this passage once again. The first book by Samuel. So Goliath was taken from a defeater, and the Israelites were running away, and one was scared. I want to make a comparison today. Goliath was shown as the bureaucrats, the bankers, being the first ones, Eurosceptical ones, those who robbed the ideals of a common community to impose just a superstructure, major banks and finance. So these are the first enemies to Europe. In Florence, we have the friends of Europe, those in love with Europe, the defenders of me in Europe. So Goliath was an arrogant, bold giant. David was a shepherd, and he just having the courage and skills and the faith of God, and decided to challenge, not with the armor, this giant, not with the armor, but he decided to use 5 smooth stones of a river with some dexterity, courage, and a great deal of faith. Do you know the end of the story? David defeated Goliath, invincible, unattackable. He was destroyed. Now in Florence, from the entire year, we have women and men having just the goodwill, having just the courage and the strong faith. They're going to defeat a big giant, the first enemy of Europe, which is bureaucracy, Mason's bureaucracy, who wants to destroy the identity, values, the roots of our continent. We are the Goliathsaurus. We have no fears. We're not scared. We're going against those financing the destruction of our civilization. They're not scaring us. On one hand, we have the temporary jobs and never pension, because it's not according to the European parameters of the Stability Pact. Then we have the entitlement to employment, so future for the youth, hopes. On the other hand, we have the expenditure cuts for schools, for the national health systems, because the right to health and right to education should be just for those having rich parents, Instead, I believe that we have above all to think of those living outside the big cities, in the suburbs, in low-income families' houses. Now we will have the alternatives of those being entitled to education and also help without having parents being billionaires. We want to help these young people of the suburbs. They feel European. Security, migration, we said these a lot of things. We've been showing that power is, so will is power. We're now, trusted by millions of Italians, millions of Europeans. And some trials, I don't want to originate my past. I'm not scared. We have a strong debate, and it's about the reform of justice. The reform of justice is highly needed, is necessary in Italy. Not for those having the money to pay big lawyers, great lawyers, but as for all the other workers and for the other male or female workers, also the judges have to pay for their mistakes. They have to be autonomous and also judge if he or she does something wrong, he or she has to pay, as all the other male workers do in this community. I'm just finishing this off. We think of the Europe of the peoples. Now we have a strong fight for freedom, and I thank you that after 30 years, now we have a new reform, federal reform of a country, which is going to be, the salvage of the entire Italy, from the north to the south of Italy. Let's go this way. Okay, let's sail at large sea. So the left has an incredible fantasy. We have not a black wave, but a blue wave of enthusiasm, the smile of the youth. So if we wanted to start the Europe again, let's ask the people to help us. Also ask the people the vote to be the founders of Europe, to focus Europe on men and women of Europe, on freedoms. The Europe imposed by Strasbourg or Brussels or by the European Central Bank is not the Europe where we want to grow, where we want to raise our children. We're the fifth political part in the European Parliament, but we can be the third one, the home of all those who love their peoples, their factories, their companies, their farms. And then we're going to be more determined. We have two choices. The one are going to choose the League at the election next June, and those are going to choose, Vienna, in Paris, in Prague, and everywhere. We'll be listening to our friends. They will make a clear choice, no trade-off, no compromise, no trouble. Those voting League, Identity and Democracy, they will give us the mandate to go, and never we will rule together with the left, and never will rule with the socialists. Never we will do that. Never, ever. The vote to Timmermans has been given by the Dutch. Bye, my friends, bye, Timmermans. And this ideology won. In the left, they replace the class fight with a fight for the electric car made in Peking, and also the board. It's not the Green Deal we thought of to be. Employment, family, security, the proudness of claiming these Christian roots that someone wanting to deny in the last European Constitution. How can you deny your roots? If you deny who you are, you cannot welcome your neighbors. And watch out, Europe is receiving a lot. Welcoming may be too much, but you cannot welcome if you're not aware and proud. If you're not proud of your identity, and you have to defend your identity. Thank you. So I leave the hatred outside. I leave the anger outside. I leave the clash outside. We're sharing proposal. I leave it to the left. Some supposed to be cultural superiority that already lost grounds. And I thank you so much because all of you making politics, so even the ones this afternoon going back to Lombardy, to the Venice region, to the Lazio region, being the secretaries or being the councillor from the highest levels to the lowest levels, if we are here, if we subtract one family to our rest, to our family, is because we know the next year at stake we have a lot. And for the first time ever in the history of the European institutions, the center-right, united and well-determined, can win and free people from Brussels on behalf of their personal interest. Let's get rid of those been occupying this temple, and let's take Europe back. That's our homes, and this will be the homes of our children. Let's go to employment, let's go to family, let's go to common sense, and let's go freedom, identity, and democracy. Let's go all.